have a nice cold iced coffee. You know what that means. It is time for a swatch and sip where we sit down with a nice yummy drink and we swatch some beautiful eyeshadow palettes. So this time around, I have 6 VISEART eyeshadow palettes. When VISEART launches eyeshadow palettes, they tend to come hard and fast with a lot. There is one new one that I'm missing right now, the Coyish Etendu. I need to pick that one up. But these were given to me in PR. They actually were sent to my parents' house. So that's why I didn't buy them, because I knew my parents had them, but I had to wait until I actually met up with them in order to get these. So I finally have them in my hand, and I was this close to buying these Fleurette palettes. I'll show you why when we get into it, but I was definitely going to spend my own money on these. The quads, I probably would not have spent my own money on, but I am going to purchase the Coyish Etendu. And just a quick thing, if you want to purchase some VISEART palettes, I'm going to link like Beautylish and other places that you can get them. But right now, if you're watching this, VISEART is having a 40% off summer sale. Not everything is 40% off, but for example, the quads, the Petits Fours that I'm showing you today are normally $25. Right now they are $17.50, and then my favorite palettes, the Fleurette palettes, are normally $40 and you can get them for $28, which I think is such a phenomenal deal for these VISEART formulas. My advice is always wait for the VISEART sales or the eSum sales to pick up the VISEART palettes. That's normally how it goes with me. Even when I purchase VISEART, I don't purchase them full price. I wait for some sort of sale to pick them up. So that's my advice. Check out the VISEART website right now, because there are so many eyeshadow palettes on sale for such a good price. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into swatching. So I think first thing, we're gonna start off with the Petits Fours, which are the tiniest little quads. These are as small as you can get in terms of traveling, and they really allow you to create a simple look without having to think too hard. Like I said, they're originally $25, but you can get them for $17.50 right now. And the reason that I wouldn't have spent my own money on these is only because I have so many VISEART palettes, and VISEART sometimes, I love you, but you can be a little repetitive. That is how I feel about these, but let's take a look anyways, because I feel like, for example, Water Lotus is a little bit more aqua than some of the other palettes that I have. So lights are down. I am going to refrain from saying too many of the words, and just for details, what I also love about VISEART shadows is they have such a long shelf life. 36 months. That's 3 years. Most eyeshadows are 12 to 24 months, so you are getting a nice long-lasting eyeshadow palette. These are also made in the USA. So here's what it looks like. You can see just the tiniest, littlest packaging. Pull the ribbon. Definitely has more of like an aqua color that I don't have a lot from VISEART. So if you're into blues, I would say this is different than some other ones that I have. So we have 4 shades: Muse, Dewdrop, Pagoda, and then Lily Pad. And these look very pretty. So it looks like 2 shimmers and 2 mattes. This is a good curation because I can clearly see what look I would get from this palette. Let's swatch it. So we have this shimmery shade, kind of leaning a little satin, has a light green tone to it. Then we have this matte minty shade, which honestly would be very pretty all over the eyelid. Then we have a shimmer shade. This one feels a little bit weak, but one good thing about this type of formula from VISEART is it applies really well with a brush. Because it's more powdery, it will pick up and pack on harder and more opaque on the eyelid. And then we have the most vibrant shade here, which swatched beautifully. And one thing to note about VISEART shadows in general, they might not swatch the best, but I would say they always apply beautifully. Now, I haven't put this on my eyes, so I cannot confirm that, but just based on the feelings of this formula, I think I'm really going to like the formula of this, but this isn't everybody's favorite color story. Even I'm a little wary of blue, but if you like blue, like this blue-green color, gorgeous. So next up, we have this one. So these are like from the Lotus collection. I'm not even going to attempt to embarrass myself with the pronunciation, but it's light, obviously like a rosy palette. Now this one I think is pretty because it has those mauve tones. Generally speaking, VISEART does have a lot of eyeshadow palettes that look like this, so you might want to have a smaller collection if you pick this up from VISEART. But this one is definitely the more mauve one of like the pinkier shades, which I'll show you next. So we have this matte base color, two shimmers. Once again, this one looks like it leans a little bit more metallic. Then here's the other matte. This one doesn't look like it has too much depth. It just looks like it's going to give you a pretty simple rose look. So let's see. So we just have this matte shade, which pretty much very similar to my skin tone. So I went in to see if I could layer it up. Then we have this metallic shade, which is going to be very pretty all over the eyelid. The circle on my arm is from my Apple Watch. This one has more reflex in it. But again, not a strong pigment base, but it could be very reflective on the eyelid. And then we have the deepest shade, which honestly isn't that deep comparing it to the palette right above. But this one's going to give a really pretty soft look. Wouldn't recommend this one for deeper skin tones, but I think if you're very fair, you might actually enjoy the range that you can get on the eye with this one against your skin tone. So this one's just going to give a pretty everyday rosy look. I would definitely take this with me on vacation when I know I don't want too much makeup. Like nothing too heavy, you know? So that one is very pretty. Nothing super special in the line, but very, very gorgeous. That leads us to the one that probably caught my eye the most in this collection. This is the Sakura Lotus, and you can see instantly with this vibrant packaging that I would be into it, especially since it's more purpley. Now these are definitely like a pinkier tone of purple, but I do like the mix of colors here. I would have loved to have seen like a navy shade, like have this one less rosy toned and have it be more of a plum shade. But anyways, let's go ahead and swatch these. I don't know why I went weird with that swatch and the finger pattern that I did, but this is what it looks like. Again, pretty soft. I wish these quads went a little heavier with the depth, because then if you're traveling, you could use them as eyeliner, but let's take a look. At the same time though, you have to remind yourself that it's going to give a pretty soft look. This looks very similar to the matte shade there. Then we have this light shade, which would be so pretty as an all-over base shade. And then we have a frosty shimmer. And then this one is also very pretty. This quad, the Sakura, is definitely more light than I thought it would be. I think it's going to give a pretty purpley haze over the eyes. I'm definitely going to need to try this on the eyes. I haven't tried any of these on the eyes, so I can't speak too much of the quality in an application setting, but they all look very pretty. I definitely am still standing by the fact that none of these called out to me to purchase, but I'm actually really liking how this frosty shade is looking. There's like a little bit of a duochrome there. I don't know if you can see that. Very pretty. I find with VISEART shadows, you don't know the whole story until they are on your eyeballs, because sometimes something can swatch so bland but look so stunning on the eyelids. So I'm going to put these in my eyeshadow bin to try because I definitely need to get these on. But these are, again, the Water Lotus, Rose Lotus, and then Sakura Lotus. What do you guys think? Everybody pause. Let's all take a sip right together. My sip didn't last long. I guess I'm already out. What is this on my face? Anyways, okay, I've been waiting. This is what I've been waiting to share with you guys. This is what I was this close to purchasing with my own money because I'm really excited about these. They're a little bit innovative for VISEART and allow you to get a really nice cohesive look. There are 3 of them. These are called the Fleurette palettes. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I never took a French class, so the letters, how they work together, I don't know how to make it come out of my mouth. So these are special for VISEART because they are the petite sized pans, so great for travel, but they also come with blushes. So I was excited about that because I also do like the VISEART blushes, and I feel like this really does create a cohesive look that you don't need to think about, making them even more great for travel. So let's take a look at the one that I'm wearing right now. I do have a bone to pick with the packaging. So this is the Amour palette, okay? And I want you look at the packaging compared to the actual color of the palette. Something went wrong here, right? This does not look like the colors on here. So don't be fooled by how orange and warm these look. This palette is a cool toned purple palette. So I found that very odd. These do not match. But let me quickly, before I get into the swatches, go over how I created my look today with this palette. So if you're liking this pretty mauvey purpley look, I started off with the shade right here, all over the crease and all over the lower lash line. And then of course I deepened with this shade right here, which I feel like did give me some nice depth. And then all over the eyelid, I used the lightest shade, and it's gorgeous. I mean, it's not the most reflective shimmer shade, but it applied great with a completely dry brush, which is something that I look for. I don't like wetting my brush, but you can if you want it even more reflective. And then I went in with this shade, which is not my favorite of the quad, but I do have it along my lower lash line. It has those little blue particles, not my favorite shade. They have a lot of these in the VISEART palettes, but I still do feel like this is one of the more unique color stories. And I was excited because it has like a more purpley blush and a pinky blush. So on this cheek, I have the purpley blush, and then on the other cheek right here, I have the pinky blush. They don't look as different as I thought they would look, but they still both look gorgeous, and I'm surprised because I still really like the purple blush. So let's go ahead and swatch this one, but I love it. I highly recommend this one. I love the look that this created. Okay, so here we are. We're just going to do the eyeshadows first. So we have the light lavender shade, and then the deeper shade. My biggest critique of all of these palettes is I need more depth in the eyeshadow. Ooh, that shade's so gorgeous. This is the one that's on my eyelid, and it applies gorgeous as well. So smooth, no fallout. This one blended so easily, but I just wanted to have a wee bit more pigment for versatility purposes. And I could have done without this shade, but it is pretty. And then let's get into the blushes, which applied buttery smooth to the skin. And you can use these as eyeshadows as well. So do keep that in mind, but blushes do swatch more sheer. But this is the Amour palette, and it's so pretty. And you see how it looks kind of bland on my hand, but it really translates well onto the skin. That's what I'm talking about. So don't be deterred by the swatches if you are. It always works out on the eyes. Okay, let's go into Bizou now. And this one is a warmer one, and I have used it before, so I will upload a picture of me wearing it right here, Jose. Okay, so this one is a warm one, but it does have a pink pop here. Nothing really unique screams out to me about this palette, but you can get a really pretty summery look. This one is great for summer. I love the pink and the gold contrast here. So we have a great crease shade. Then we have this shimmer. Again, nothing unique for VISEART, but a pretty curation nonetheless. And then this warm blush is gorgeous. And you have a pinkier one too. So like this, and then that one. So this one was really pretty. I enjoyed the look that I got with it as well. Doesn't stand out to me of the four for a favorite color story of mine, but if you're more of a warm toned person, I think you'll like this one. Sip break. Which brings us to the very last one of today's palette. This one is also a cooler toned one. It has a little bit more of a neutral undertone to it compared to the Amour. So the Amour is more bright, whereas this one I think is even more wearable, and it has more of a peachy blush and a peachy crease shade. So it's kind of the in-between of the two. So you have the Bizou, which is the warm one, and then you have the Amour. This one is kind of those two put together. So let's swatch this one. This one definitely lacks depth. So expect a light look with this one. Let's see. So that's the first shade. I haven't used this one yet. That's really sheer. It's these four. I don't know if this is screaming to me. It's really, really light, which can be really pretty. But I need to put it on my eyes before I knock it. Then we have the two blushes. Though instantly I would say if you have darker than a medium skin tone, this one is not the one for you. That's for sure. This one is really, really light. Definitely not exciting by swatch at all, but we'll see how it looks on the face. I wish I had applied this one so that I could show you, but I am in love with the Amour. As I'm looking, that's the one I probably would recommend the most out of the color stories that I typically like. If you're very fair, this last one would be really good for those of you that struggle finding colors that work for you. And warmer tones. This is gorgeous. So those are all 6 of the new VISEART eyeshadow palettes that have entered my collection. I've only used 2 of the 6, so make sure you stay tuned and subscribe to my channel because as I use them, I normally do every other month an eyeshadow rankings video, so 2 of these are already going to be put in that next rankings video, and I am going to put the 4 in the lineup to be tested. So you gotta subscribe to get notified about that. But let me know your thoughts on these VISEART palettes. Are you picking them up? If you're planning on it, definitely make sure you purchase now. Now is the time because you can get 30 to 40% off. These palettes are my favorite, the Fleurette ones, because I love the additional blush, and $28 for these is such a good price for the VISEART formula. If you're not familiar with VISEART, they're extremely popular amongst, you know, the pro community because they just work fantastic and they're super versatile because you're able to take the colors out, put them in other palettes, mix them around with other palettes to kind of curate your own. I love VISEART. I've always loved their quality and I think that these palettes are very, very pretty. I stated this many times already, but yes, my biggest critique out of all of these is we were definitely lacking depth, and I just think in terms of being able to utilize the deeper shades for eyeliner would be great. And it's also going to open up darker skin tones to be able to use these as well. So I would love to see that in the future, but I'm very, very happy with the quality of these so far. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you so much for swatching and sipping with me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.